Hard to believe in a franchise built around vehicular destruction, but the first Fast and Furious crashed a staggering 78 cars. Staggering because that number barely scratches the surface of future installments. So how about we take a look at some of the Fast and Furious scenes that destroyed the most cars? Since the official numbers are a bit unclear, we're basing our conclusions primarily on the number of cars shown being obliterated on screen, with the understanding that that usually means way more for the sake of alternate angles, getting the stunts right, that sort of thing. Alright, strap in, let's do this. First up, probably one of the two scenes you pictured in your head when you saw the subject for this video, Fate of the Furious and its wild zombie car sequence in which cars rain down on the citizens of New York City in a mix of practical and CGI destruction that F9 will be hard-pressed to top. Although I'm sure they'll do it. I'm sure it's just gonna be a whole menagerie of destruction, but that's neither here nor there. We're talking about the movies we've already seen. Let's move on.
No one's ready for this.
While it's not the best action sequence in the franchise by a long mile, it is one of the more outrageous and, well, technically implausible.
Hack 'em all.
However, as part of the film's mammoth $250 million budget, most of the cars seen being destroyed are real, since the idea, of course, is that they're being hacked and you can't exactly hack a 70s-era Mustang or whatever. So, director F. Gary Gray insisted that the studio use newer models, thereby upping the cost in a scene that already features tons of destruction, even by Fast and Furious standards.
3,000-pound lawn darts.
It's tough to calculate exactly how many cars were actually destroyed for the sequence versus how many were totally CGI, although it seems like most are at least real, composited-in vehicles. According to British insurance firm Insure the Gap, who have calculated the total number of destroyed cars for each film, Fate of the Furious wound up junking approximately 348 cars throughout the movie. The actual scene here is tough to accurately count by virtue of just how many cars are totaled in the movie. Just look at this. Gray stated in an interview that the production wound up destroying, quote, hundreds of cars for this sequence alone, and yeah, I believe that. This next one is mostly interesting because while most of our real-life totals are based on calculations from Insure the Gap, we do have some hard-ish numbers.
That has gotta go to work.
This Furious 7 sequence, shot in the mountains of Colorado, features a whole bunch of CGI-assisted cars parachuting in for one hell of an epic chase. Sources say that the production lost around 40 cars while shooting this one set piece, and when you crunch the numbers further, you realize just how much destruction happens behind the scenes. Tej appears to decimate 2 cars here, this Jeep gets exploded by the back chunk of a bus, Brian's car crashes to some extent, but probably not worth counting, this sedan gets impaled by the convenience tree, this Jeep rock and rolls to death, this car gets shot off a cliff, and of course this bus goes bye-bye as well. Oh, and Jason Statham gets knocked down a hill. The chase ends with Dom and Ramsey driving off a different cliff, resulting in their implausible survival and the car's definite destruction. So, that brings us to about 10 cars destroyed on screen, meaning that around 4 times as many had to be destroyed to pull off the whole sequence.
All right, here we go.
The first big carstruction sequence in Fast and Furious 6 begins about 20 minutes in, when Shaw escapes the police by blowing up the entire building, upon which they're waiting to ambush him. As you can see, right off the bat, a bunch of police cars are destroyed in the explosion, but that's just the beginning. The beauty of this sequence is Shaw's custom-built racing car, which features a special ramp on the front end to help his enemies, flip out over his ride as he cruises through London.
Them just some fellas I play car pranks with.
Cop cars go flying through the air into both the road and each other, while Dwayne Johnson's truck smacks him away as he gives chase.
Sorry about that, boys.
But that's not all. There are also these EMP chip thingies.
What is that, a hockey puck?
They force our heroes to lose control of their cars and, well, yeah. Even more destruction, each crash no doubt resulting in multiple fresh cars for the vehicle graveyard. In the end, we get 5 cop cars in the initial bombing, 6 more cop cars flipped or hit by fly-in fellows in the chase, 3 by chip, including a pedestrian car hit by one of the chipped cars, and finally Brian's car. 15 cars minimum, with 5 very possibly just CGI models, but a lot of these shots are complicated enough that I have zero doubt the London chase is responsible for a hefty chunk of the film's, and I can't believe I'm saying this, 350 decimated cars. Holy butts. But that's not the only entry for part 6, because this sucker just doesn't let up. Plus, like, again, 350 cars. Even though it's a calculation, that's a lot of cars. Later on in the film, Shaw pulls a bit of a swerve and targets a convoy traveling along a highway. This leads to one of the film's most famous lines.
They got a tank.
What follows is a jamboree of destruction, as car after car is flattened by the tank, including the truck carrying the damn thing. Additionally, we've got Wonder Woman and Han brutally sacrificing their motorcycles like Yoshi's, the firepower of the aforementioned tank sending cars flying out of fireballs, and all sorts of additional stunts that definitely decimated some stunt cars. You can't tell me Brian's jump here left that 1970 Ford Escort in working condition. So our totals are 1 Jeep off the bridge, 1 flipped Jeep, the truck carrying the tank, 2 motorcycles, if you want to count them in the tally, 2 cars blown up by tank, 8 run over by the tank, including Roman's car, at least 2 destroyed in the bridge destruction, the tank itself, and maybe Dom's 1969 Dodge Charger Daytona, although that one seems like a fender bender in the grand scheme of things. So that's 19 or 20-ish, although the chaos of the sequence and a few cuts throughout make that a little shaky. Either way, what I'm getting at here, carnage abounds, holy butts, a lot of cars destroyed in these scenes. And finally, while I would love to talk about Fast and Furious for a few more hours, I've only got time for one more, and in my opinion, it's the most iconic, and the scene which marked the transition between old and new Fast and Furious, Fast Five's big heist sequence, wherein the team steals a whole damn safe and whisks it through the streets of Rio de Janeiro.
Don't let up a coffee. Okay? Coffee.
Now sure, some might prefer the film's take on the Great Train Robbery, but me, I'm more of a Great Vault Robbery kind of guy. It just exemplifies the combination of badass driving stunts and outrageous physics-defying tomfoolery we all know and love. Plus, Dom and Brian have to really come together as family, and really, isn't that what this franchise is all about? Anyway, car crashes. It's really tough to tell exactly how many cars are destroyed in this sequence, but by my count, it's around 30-ish on-screen crashes and crushes, including 6 cop cars in the street chase, about 10 pedestrian vehicles, give or take, and 12 on the bridge, including Dom's car. That's a bit rough math, to say the least, but even at those numbers, if you multiply by 4 to make up for alternate shots and mishaps and the like, that would be around 120 potential examples of stunt-based destruction, which, considering the sheer scale of the chase, is in and of itself pretty conservative. Approximately 260 cars were demolished for Fast 5, and this climactic heist is a big reason why. According to official documentation from Universal, quote, close to 200 cars were crushed by the vault, which honestly just seems too wild to be true. But then I guess that is the Fast and Furious way. Now, if you are curious about Ensure the Gap's totals for the other films that we didn't talk about, according to them, Too Fast, Too Furious destroyed 130 cars, Tokyo Drift destroyed 249 cars, and Fast and Furious destroyed 190. With F9 coming up, we're closing in on 2,000 cars total, and that's pretty nuts.